Welcome to Dream Big. How are you? This is your friend Juan de Lascurain. Hope you're doing fine. And today we have a great show for you. Have a great segment. And first I want to start by reading a verse that I love. It's in Genesis. It's Genesis 1. And this is what it says. It says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." It says, "Now the earth was formless and empty." It says, "Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." And then God said, "Let there be light." And then light was made. And then it says that God saw that the light was good. And then it says that He separated the light from darkness. Then it says, God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And then He says that there was evening, and there was morning, and that was the first day. And that was how the world started. That was how the world was created. And so today I want to talk to you a little bit about your life, because after God created the heavens and the earth, then it says that in the end, after he had created animals and all this other stuff, He said that everything He had created was good. And then it says right here on the verse 27, it says that God created man in His own image. It says, "In the image of God, He created him, male and female." And so I want to tell you, the same way that God created everything, He created you, male and female, for a purpose. Because God has a purpose for your life. Just like me. I grew up in Mexico. I was born in Mexico City. And then I grew up in the city of Monterrey, Mexico. And for the first 13 years of my life, I really had no clue what my purpose was. I was born in a good family, and I had everything. My dad had a really good job, and I went to private school, and I had money. But I didn't have a purpose. I didn't really know who God was. We just used to go to church with my mom, but never really understanding why we even went to church. I remember one day when I was 14 years old, my mom came in the house with a Bible. And it was actually a gift. She said, "Oh, I have a gift for you." And actually, it was gift wrapped. And I had no clue what it was. So I took the gift and I was like, "Mom, what is it?" And she said, "Oh, just open it." And I opened it in front of her. And I remember opening it, and in the front it said Holy Bible. And I was almost like, "Oh, holy," I was like, "What is this? I don't need this." I was 14 years old. I loved to play tennis. My dream back then was to be a professional tennis player and just be involved in sports. But I remember that I took the Bible and I put it on the shelf. And I kind of went out, went with my life. But I remember every day I used to watch my mom. She would read her Bible in her desk. I remember I used to look at her and I'm like, why does she read that book so much? Because in my mind, Bible, with my friends and people, most people thought, oh, Holy Bible, that's like religious. That's for like weird people. That's for like people that are saints, that are just perfect. And so a couple of years went by. And then one day, they told me that my parents were getting divorced. And I remember that I was going through a very hard time in my life. And so I remember one day I just thought, you know what? I'm going to see what's up with this thing called the Bible. And I went in my room with the Bible and I shut the door. I had two other brothers and they were watching TV. And I remember I kind of snuck in the room and shut the door and started reading the Bible. And I opened it. And I remember I felt a presence that I never felt before. And right then I said, "God," I said, "if you're real," I said, "I give you my life. And I just want you to use my life and do amazing things with it, whatever you want to do." And I remember after I felt that presence, I suddenly realized that God had created me for a purpose. And every day I started reading in the Bible, and I would read like little verses. And I remember reading like the verse that I just told you. Like I never, at 14 years old, I never even thought like where I came from or how I got in here. But when I started reading that God had created me in His own image, and then I started getting like just hunger for God. And then I started thinking like, all these people that have been telling me all my life like, oh, if you read the Bible, you're religious. I started thinking like, wow, how wrong they are, because they've never had a relationship with God. They've never been able to meet the real God, not religion, because religion only wants to control people and religion only wants to manipulate people. But God, the true God, when you get to know Him and when you have an encounter and an experience with Him, He will change your life. So I want to encourage you, it doesn't matter where you are, what country, where you come from, I always say that, it doesn't matter where you come from, how much money you have, but if you have faith, a dream, and you work hard, you can accomplish anything. And it all starts with faith, and it all starts by believing that God created you. And so I just want to, encourage you that maybe, somebody gave you a Bible, or maybe somebody's been inviting you to go to a church, or to go to find out about the true God. I just want to encourage you that don't worry about religion, and don't worry about what people tell you. In Mexico, my mom, when she became a Christian, she went through so much just because she chose to find out for herself in the Bible who God was. And there's nothing wrong, because God knows you, He created you, He has a purpose and a plan for you. And so I just want to encourage you, seek God. And anyway, today we also have a little segment of an interview that we did with Evander Holyfield. And Evander Holyfield, if you guys don't know, he's one of the most famous heavyweight champions of the world. And so I want to encourage you to listen to this interview, and we'll be right back. We're here with a 4-time heavyweight champion, Evander Holyfield. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Tell me a little bit about your youth growing up. How did you get into boxing?
Well, as a kid, I love sports, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I was coming off the football field, and I saw the guy hitting a speed bag, and I went up there and I wanted to box, and I asked him, and they said no, but I kept asking each and every day. Eventually, they gave in.
Oh, so tell me about your faith in God.
Well, my faith in God is who I am. I love the Lord, and I came up from a very poor neighborhood, poor family, and we were taught to trust in Jesus, and your trust in Jesus will lead you to success. And everything that I accomplished that were worth having were with Jesus.
What would you tell youth about not quitting?
Well, I would tell them to not quit is the same as believing in Jesus and always believing, because as long as you believe in, your chances of winning is great.
Awesome. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy that segment. I want to encourage you. A lot of times when you do something, maybe you have a dream, maybe you want to go out and accomplish something, but maybe people are going to be telling you, you're crazy, you're stupid, nobody knows you, you don't work for a big network, or, whatever your dream might be, there's always going to be naysayers, there's always going to be negative people telling you over and over to quit. But I want to tell you, never quit. Because when you give your life to God, and when you know that God created you, and then that He gave you a purpose, and when you take that purpose and you listen to His voice, I'm telling you, He'll take you into amazing places. On the next show, I'm going to tell you about how I ended up at the White House. And I'm also going to tell you the story of how I started this TV show about 7 years ago. There's another verse that I love that it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. It says, lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. And so that verse to me has been always very special since I was 15 years old, because I realized that trusting God, a lot of times it doesn't make sense in your brain. You have to go by what your heart says. It says, lean not into your own understanding. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense what God is telling you to do. But when you do it and you step out, amazing things happen. So we'll leave you today. And remember, dream big. It's about faith, big dreams, working hard. Check our website, dbig.com, and we'll see you next time.